Hey, I was traveling the last few days and some of the videos I made were inside a hotel and I realized how self-conscious I was. It was super early in the morning, like 3:30 or 4, but still people walking by, they're checking out. I'm there with my video camera, I'm talking. And even though I'm not technically talking to myself, it can certainly look that way. So a little bit of that self-conscious as I was out in public with that. So I'm glad to be back home where I can just be as loud as I want to and talk to myself all I want to. And the truth is, we all talk to ourselves all the time. We talk to us more than anybody else. And that's why we need to be careful with what we're saying to ourselves. I'm always stunned at the number of people who tear themselves down, rip themselves apart, constantly negative and berating themselves. And I realized that that's kind of our culture in a lot of ways. So I wrote down some things that I try to use to remain positive in my conversation to myself. And when I need to be negative, how to frame that correctly. But first, three problems that really exist today. Number one is belief. And we tend to believe the negative over the positive. I think that's just part of society, part of our judgmental society, which is so interesting that we tend to believe that. If we say something negative of ourselves, we're almost like, that's right. If we say something positive of ourselves, we're like, I don't know. It's almost like we don't want to give ourselves credit. It's something weird. I don't know how we got programmed this way. But just think about a battery. The negative end has a minus sign. The positive has a positive sign, a plus sign. Think on the positive. Don't make positives negatives and don't make negatives positives. So with our belief, if we've got a negative belief about ourselves, it's going to be challenging. Secondly is our behavior. We tend to be overly critical about our behavior because we look out there and it looks like everybody else's behavior is stellar except for ours. So we become heavily judgmental and critical about how we behave and what we do. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't as good as it should be. I could have done better. Somebody can even tell us that we did a great job. And the first thing that many of us do, oh, no, I should have done this. Instead of just accepting it, hey, thank you. We often don't do that. We go down that negative stream for some reason, trying to disprove what somebody says positive about our behavior. We got to quit that. And then third is boasting. We're scared that we're going to sound like we're bragging on ourselves. We're scared that we're going to come across as prideful or arrogant. Here's the thing. If you're worried about that, you are not going to come across that way because it's just not your wiring. Most people don't go around saying, hey, look at all the great things that I did. But it's okay to accept it. And if you did a good job with something, tell the people closest to you. Take some credit for that. Be proud of that. Don't just act like, could have done better. Quit being less than. Quit talking to yourself in less than land. Let's not live in less than land. Let's be positive. So how do we do that? So usually advice is around, hey, just think positive, just talk positive yourself. So I think there's probably enough of that. Let me give you 5 specific ways to do that. Number 1 is compliments. Now, first of all, pay yourself compliments. If you like the way you're dressed today, say, hey, this looks great. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It does not matter. They're not getting paid to judge your wardrobe, unless they are. That'd be kind of interesting. Just compliment yourself. If you think your hair's fine, compliment it. If you did a good job on that article, compliment it. If you did a good job on the video, compliment it. If you did a good job with that baking, compliment it. It may be the best you've ever done. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It does not matter how it compares to anyone else. Give yourself a compliment. And closely related to that, accept compliments. When somebody compliments you, accept it. Say thank you. I appreciate that. Because I believe that compliments, one of the things that compliments do is they help you recognize your gifts, your talents, your abilities, your skill sets. It's somebody else saw it and mentioned it to you. And instead of denying it or instead of dismantling it, accept it. Say thank you and then write it down. I like to write down compliments I receive because I see that that's an area that I probably need to be spending more time in. It was something that was useful to somebody else. It's something that somebody else thought was favorable. Guess what? I'm going to spend some more time there. Compliments. Secondly, congratulations. When you do something, Doesn't matter if anybody else ever sees it or not. Congratulate yourself. If you got the workout in, congratulate yourself. If you didn't eat the whole bag of chips, congratulate yourself. If you finished a project on time, even if that's what you're paid to do, congratulate yourself. Now, we're not talking about getting in this strange place of euphoria about self constantly. It just means that we need to give ourselves credit. I don't think that most of us are going to go too far with compliments. Most of us are not going to go too far with congratulations. It's because most people just don't live there. Even somebody like me that probably does more than other people, I don't think it's over the top. I don't think that I live in, oh, let me just live in total compliment land and total congratulations planet. I don't do that, but I'm going to give myself credit for stuff that I did right or that I completed or that I didn't want to do and I ended up doing anyway. I'm just going to go ahead and give myself credit for that. I'm not going to beat myself up. It shouldn't have been so hard for me to do that. I should have been more motivated. I should have been more disciplined. Quit that. Which leads us to number 3. Construction. Construction. It's okay to be constructive with our criticism of ourselves, and I use that term very lightly. It's okay to be corrective of ourselves. But here's the way that I think about it personally. I'm very emotional about positives. I'm very emotional about love, joy, and peace. I'm very non-emotional about correction. Correction to me is not something to feel bad about. It's simply something to recognize and to make improvements on. Not to feel bad, to recognize and make improvements. I'm not going to sit around and waller, Southern term, waller in dysfunction or doubt or didn't do good enough or that could have been better. Oh, that was stupid. You're such an idiot. I'm not living over there and feeling those emotions. I'm not going to dwell in those emotions. I'm not going to sit in those emotions. If I do, I'm going to give me a time limit so that I'm going to get out of it. But for the most part, that's just a review and learn from and get better at. So yes, I do believe in being corrective. I do believe in being constructive. Everything is not happiness. But the truth is, even the correction to me is a positive. It means I'm going to be better. Number 4, confidence. Speak with confidence. Here's what I'm about to do. Here's what I'm hoping to accomplish. Now, I'm not trying to set this unrealistic expectation so that I end up being crushed at the end of it. But I'm going to be confident. If I've got an assignment to do, I'm going to be confident with that assignment. If I'm going to try to lose weight, I'm going to be confident in my approach. When we lead with doubt, when we lead with not good enough, it's almost like we are predicting failure. But when we lead with confidence, when we lead with this positive belief, we're going to go so much further. We're going to get so much more done because we have that confidence. What are you confident about in your life? And then number 5, cheerful. Talk to yourself in a cheerful tone, a happy tone. Not a fussing tone, not a critical tone, a cheerful tone. Even in correction, you can be cheerful. Oh man, you blew that, didn't you? Yep, I think that's one of your stellar blows right there. I don't know that you've ever blown it as good. This may be a world record. You may be one of the best at missing the mark on that one. That's way better than just sitting in a bunch of mess and beating ourselves up and being hard on ourselves. I'm sure that some therapists will say, Paul, this is completely unhealthy to be all this positive talk. It may be, but I find it's a lot easier to live in love, joy, and peace when I use an inside voice that's positive than an inside voice that's negative. So the 3 problems is belief. We usually believe the negative over the positive. Behavior, we tend to be hypercritical, and boasting, we tend to be afraid that we're going to come across as bragging. So 5 things and 5 ways that we can speak to ourselves. We can receive compliments well, and we can compliment ourselves. We can congratulate ourselves for a job well done, or just even taking a single step. Don't wait till completion to congratulate. Congratulate on every step. Correction. When we correct ourselves and we're going to be constructive in our criticism, even that we're going to use a good tone, but we're going to be unemotional toward this criticism of ourselves. It's simply to learn from and it's simply to grow from. Number 4 is confidence. I'm going to walk out in confidence. I'm going to speak to myself confidently. I'm going to build myself up the way that I would build a friend up that was about to take a similar step. And then number 5, I'm going to speak to myself cheerfully, with love, with joy and peace, with kindness, with gentleness, with grace. The same way that I would love for somebody to talk to me, I'm going to talk to myself. And I'm going to also talk to other people that way as well. Why don't you take this list of 5 and make a list of compliments for yourself, congratulations of yourself. Correction, something you might need to work on. Don't spend the least amount of time on that one. Number 4, talk to yourself confidently, but write that down. What's something confident you could say to yourself? And then also write down a cheerful statement about yourself and have that tone. Speak to ourselves that way. Let's speak to others that way. But it begins with our inside voice. Be blessed.